Welcome to Life on Life's Terms, episode 35. It's your host, Justin, and...
What's up? It's Kenny.
We're going to be getting into the Canadian healthcare system today, quitting smoking, and what commitment might look in your day-to-day life. Wide variety, many topics to hit the floor, but I think we're prepared for this.
Let's hit the floor running.
Yeah. So what was your weekend like?
I had a really good weekend. I did some soul work.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like I went to a paint night.
Yeah.
And we painted a bonsai tree in a valley.
Mm-hmm.
And like at first I was like the light of the party. Like I had all this energy. And then I started tripping myself out because my painting wasn't going the way I wanted it to go, because I wanted it to be better than everybody's, and I wanted to like really have this epic painting to show everybody. And so the next morning, we went to Dollarama and bought some paints, and I finished it. But it turned out really good.
Maybe we should also throw in control in the topics.
I don't have control issues.
Oh, no?
I don't have control issues.
Not even a little
Don't
bit.
tell me I have control issues.
Last weekend for me was complete FA. I did absolutely nothing. I basically had quiet time. You know, I just kind of like reclused myself a little bit, and I need that at least once a month.
Yeah.
You know, I need that quiet time and to have the world just shut off for a little while.
I also went to the Strathmore Art Walk.
How was that?
It was really good. Like, it was really hipster.
Yeah?
Yeah, but like different artists set up different booths and displayed some of their nicest pieces. And I seen some really amazing stuff. Like,
well, you being an artist, like your own self.
It touched my soul.
Really, right?
Mm-hmm. I really liked it.
Did you have certain people that were specific that you really liked?
Oh, fuck. I just remembered. You know, he's not going to listen to it anyways. But I bought a painting of Yoda for fucking Howie.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because we always refer to him as Yoda because he's kind of like that weird,
guy.
short, midgety, knowledgeable guy, right?
He was here. I forget what episode that was.
Hog Wild.
Yeah. That was the one it was at.
Yeah, so I bought that for him. I seen something that was cool. It was a lion, but it was like multicultural, like multicoloral.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it had like pinks and greens and like blues in it. And it was like abstract-y, but it was fucking beautiful. And it was like as tall as me. So it was like 3 foot tall.
Oh, wow. About a meter?
What's a meter in feet?
3 feet.
Okay.
About.
Ish.
There's always some leftover changes in the inches. That's what I always used to say in that old world of being a highly qualified tape measurer. We call them land surveyors.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a dick measure.
No.
Highly qualified. I always add on a little extra change, you know?
That's so that I got paid better. People always like more property than what it really is. No, I never lied. I never lied about property.
I lied a few times about property.
No, I'm not disclosing. So it sounds like your weekend was pretty fun.
Yeah, I had a
full packed.
Yeah.
Kids? Did you have the kids?
No.
That's even nice, but not as nice.
Yeah.
You know?
I had a nice set of twins to cuddle up against though. Scumbag.
Is this one of the ones out of your stable?
Oh my God.
That's brutal, right?
No comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. So let's get into healthcare system in Canada. There's a lot of debate down in America. This is kind of a show for Americans a little bit, and also Canadians. But there's a lot of talk down in America about how our Canadian healthcare system is so great. One of the things I would like to say is there's definitely pros and cons in our healthcare system. It's not 100% fantastic. It's not 100% bad, but there are some serious issues that we are dealing with here in Canada that it's pretty mind-blowing that we're unable to get behind. One I would suggest would be anybody who's trying to get services. It's always a long wait in Canada. We don't get the advantage to paying something in order to be put further in the line. And most people are waiting in pain for over a year in order to be accommodated for surgeries.
I think before I signed up to get knee surgery, which didn't end up happening, I think the wait list was 9 months.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's good. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
9 months?
So look it up in America. Just, you can go to John Hopkins. I know you got the internet there. I'll keep talking. But you can go to John Hopkins or any of those places and just look at average wait time for knee surgery. And what kind of knee surgery was it though, Kenny? Was it like an ACL? What was it?
I needed 2 surgeries. First, they were going to go in and do my PCL.
Okay.
And then they were going to let that heal up, then go in and do the ACL after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that would have been still pretty intense, right? I mean, your rehab time is still looking at 7 to 8 weeks minimal after that.
7 to 8 years without it, so I've just kind of gone on living life without it.
Sure.
And I figure now with my knowledge in regards to like personal training and stability and mobility and kinetic chain movements of the body, that I'm just gonna keep doing stabilization workouts for my joints to make sure that I don't blow my knee out.
So we're going to go back to that point because it's okay. We're going to go back to that point because there is a segue into another piece of this topic that a lot of Canadians I don't really think appreciate, and neither do Americans. But like, again, the only things that Canada does right away is life-saving measures. So like if you have a heart attack, they'll do cardiovascular right then and there. If you have a stroke, they'll do things right then and there for emergency. But the issue is when it comes to anything that is preemptive, we wait a very, very long time for. In Canada, we don't really understand what preemptive measures are. We just basically deal with it's fucked, so now you have to get it fixed, right? There's nothing in our system here in Canada that's like, oh, well, we'll try to stop diabetes. No, we don't really have that in Canada. We're getting to that point. That's one of the issues why here in Canada we don't have stem cell therapy.
We perpetuate diabetes.
Yeah, 100% we do. I mean, as one topic, but I'm speaking in a general context, right? Using that as one example, there is no preemptive measures in Canada. No doctor. Truth be told, most Canadian doctors get 1 hour of health food or food nutritional training out of their entire 9 years of schooling.
I think it's 1 day. 1 day.
Well, so it's 1 hour of practical use is what it's called. You're right. It's a day seminar.
Yeah, it's a day.
But it's a 1 hour practical, like the practicality of it.
Yeah.
That's it. 1 hour. That's all they have, right? Like the doctor's entire job is about cutting, taking away, and which medicine or pharmacology will work best for you in Canada, right?
Which chemical can they give us to mask our symptom and not even graze the cause, not even have any effect on the cause?
So again, like I said, well, like that stemmed theory, right, about preemptive measures. Preemptive measures, like even right now, if we look at the opioid epidemic in Canada, the healthcare system as a system in Canada would much rather addicts be on methadone and Suboxone. And I'm not saying that it's not a bad program. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is there is no succession plan in taking somebody off of that medication. They would rather do that than put them in treatment. And the reason why they would rather not put them in treatment is because bricks and mortar cost money. Okay? Yeah. They would rather you be at home and have therapy because our healthcare system cannot afford to actually deal with the problem, right? Same thing, hip surgery. They would rather do preemptive surgeries than actually replace the hip in Canada. Why is that? Well, it's way cheaper for them to pay for 2 screws than an entire hip.
For all the Canadian doctors out there that might come across this episode, start prescribing personal trainers.
Well, I think, so we'll get into that too. So we'll backtrack to that topic about prescription for personal trainers, because I know where you're going for the funding,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we're also going to backtrack to preemptive measures, because those are 2 big things that we're not seeing, right? And the other thing is that our Canadian healthcare system makes doctors become social workers. Like everything in Canada, if you need something that's out of the system that you can't afford, that they really don't have funding for. So like, let's say physiotherapy, and you have no health insurance. So in Canada, that would be like Blue Cross, which basically only pays for therapy, or it also pays for prescriptions, and it's only a portion of. We do not get free prescriptions in Canada.
Up to $2,000, 70% of your prescription up to $2,000.
That's right, and no dental, and no eyewear.
You got like $500 dental.
And
for 2 years,
and no eyewear.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you get $200 eyewear.
Yeah,
for 2 years
with Blue Cross.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you got ripped off if you didn't get that.
No, I had something else. I had Great West Life, because I was a working guy, but I didn't pay at all. I just didn't think that you didn't get any. So that being said, many Americans think that we just get like free, like Advil or something, but we don't. Like it doesn't work like that. No. Secondly, like I said, needed physiotherapy, and that's why Kenny had touched on this. You need a doctor to literally write you a prescription saying that you need physiotherapy, so that you can literally go to the welfare office to pay for it, because they have to pay for it, because under our Charter of Rights, you have the right to life-saving services. And this could be quality of life under the Charter of Rights for us.
Yeah, but not just physiotherapy, personal training. Like you
and we'll get there.
That has cardiorespiratory benefits and many others.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And we'll get there. I'm just trying to unpack the idea that doctors aren't just doctors in Canada. They're also social workers. So like if you have, let's just say, diabetes in Canada, and you need to have a special diet for that, and you can't afford it because you're a blue-collared working guy, let's say,
with a drinking habit,
the doctor can then prescribe you that health, like that kind of nutrition, and you could then go to the welfare office and they will supplement your income in order to make it happen for you. Really, in my opinion, this system is making us rely upon the welfare system in order for us to be able to accommodate our medical issues.
It's very Canadiana, right? Of the Canadian government.
Well, it becomes very socialistic, right? We don't have a choice. So like, if we're going to dare to compare next to Americans and Canadians, so your knee surgery, really there's 4 viable options that they could give you for your knee surgery. But when you see a surgeon in Canada, they give you 1. And they say, if you don't want this one, we'll see you in 10 years when we have to replace the whole thing. They don't give you option A that has a lifespan of this, option B that has a lifespan of this, or option C, which has a lifespan of this. The other thing that we don't have in Canada is regenerative therapy, such as stem cell therapy.
Yeah.
You can get it privately in Canada, which is astronomical, right, for a cost for us.
Yeah.
But it's only astronomical because our healthcare system has not bought it. So the way how I always try to platform this to people to really consider for Canadians is this. The government is like a farmer who owns a bunch of cattle. And if you see 5 of your cattle die, you're not going to call you're not calling the veterinarian to come and fix 5 cattle. What's the point? I mean, what is that, $2,500?
Just buy more cattle.
Big deal. But if you see 35 head of your cattle just fucking drop out of your 50 head cattle, you're calling the motherfucking veterinarian.
Calling the insurance company.
And now it's cost effective. So when one's looking at our healthcare system, what you have to understand is I'm not trying to anecdotally compare us to cattle. What I'm saying is that's the system. Cost benefit analysis. What's the biggest bang for your buck that you can get without having to house these people? Because as long as you're not housing them, then you don't have to pay for heat, you don't have to pay for staff, so on and so forth. And because that's the way how we are now looking at people, as a cost effectiveness, what we have now gained in Canada, which I don't know if Americans remember or even Canadians remember, this person named Dr. Jack Kevorkian. Dr. Jack Kevorkian was a euthanasia doctor down in Detroit way back in the early 90s who was charged for killing people. Okay, literally charged for killing people and went and did time for it because he was helping people die faster. I'm not opposed to euthanasia. I'm really not. If quality of life is not there and you can't support your own breath and it's machines keeping you alive, well, then I guess that's it. And that's my own personal opinion. But what I don't agree with is when somebody is a state of the ward, such as a prisoner, and that so-called convict has cancer, and they just decide instead, we're not going to give you treatment, we're just going to euthanize you. Because told off the record, that's happening in the Canadian prison system right now. And for Canadian prisoners, that's an afforded right, just as also the right to form religion or be a part of religion, so on and so forth.
I've actually seen that in jail, that this guy complained to the medical staff in jail numerous times for months and months and months about his guts, and finally they took him to the hospital like 4 or 5 months later, and it was like stage 4 stomach cancer.
And see, this is what I'm getting at, is that it's not the system itself is systematically teaching a lot of these people that they do not have to have this kind of compassion, because the removal and looking at people as a mass society allows you to look at this guy with stomach cancer and be like, well, and again, like I had said, our system is about once it's fucked, then we fix it, not preemptive measures. So they didn't fix him until they saw that he was puking up something that he shouldn't have been puking up, or whatever was going
like
on.
Shitting blood every day.
There you go, right? That then and there makes causes too far gone. Right? Now we have to fucking fix it. Right? So that being said, I think that unpacks for Americans really what our system has become here in Canada. It's a very, very uncaring beast. You know, they put a bow on it saying that they care, but I do not believe that it's the people who work in the system that don't care. What I instead believe is there's not enough fucking money to give the kind of care that's necessary, right? So what do? Do you go home and cry because you can't give somebody the level of care that they need? Or do you just accept that the money isn't there? Because I know a lot of people who work within the healthcare profession in addictions or surgery, so on and so forth, and the hardest thing that they're pushing up the hill is the fact that they can't provide the kind of care that they want to, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, I mean, these people have taken a Hippocratic oath to care for people, but the money isn't there. And it's not lack of taxpayers not paying. Truly, if you break down our taxes, we pay almost 48% of our tax money goes towards healthcare. What Americans don't understand is, so where we are in Alberta, sure, we don't have a provincial sales tax, but just sales taxes alone, we pay 5% premium on everything that we buy, as well as 12% on income taxes. Do the math. We're closing and getting closer to 20% of our income is being sucked out of us, right?
Yeah.
Across the fucking board.
Yeah.
So 12% is the lowest tax bracket that Canadians pay. So the second that you hop over, I think it's $40,000, you now start paying into the 15% tax bracket. And I can tell you from actual experience, I pay more taxes at $80,000 a year than I do at $150,000 a year. I pay less taxes at $150,000. That's the threshold. I have more tax breaks at that salary. So when you look at how much of our money, so why is it we can't afford a military in Canada? Because we're paying for people in hospitals.
We don't need one anyways.
Yeah, America will do it.
Yeah, we're good.
That's you know, and I say that with a lot of salt in the wounds, you know, because I think that as my own philosophy, we need to be independent of anybody. We should not be resting upon a supposed relationship. I mean, I'm getting fucking hammered in NAFTA right now. Fucking hammered. I've lost more money in the last 2 weeks because of NAFTA than ever in my investing career.
Invest in Nike.
Yeah. But either way, what I'm getting at is relationships don't tide, because just as much as I love Americans, and Americans probably love us Canadians, the political fighters are fighting. And it's a very small portion of our society that's fighting over scraps, and the rest of us are getting fucking hammered.
It's fucking 2018, man. We don't need armies.
Yeah, no borders.
Need love. We just need love.
Yeah. So back to preemptive measures.
Eat your vegetables.
I'm going to throw this out there, and I'm going to see what your response is to this. I believe that it's a Canadian's responsibility to be in shape and to be fit in order to get health care. If I don't give a fuck if
I agree.
So physically I am obese. That's the classification, and I'm okay with that.
You're big, but you're beautiful.
So that being said, with obesity, sure, I'll accept that label for right now, but I am fighting not to be obese. I've taken it back, right? I work out 3 days on, 1 day off, over and over and over again. I change my circuits as much as I possibly can. I really started reading about what I'm eating, and I started experimenting with my diet so that I know what works and what doesn't work for me. That's a Canadian's responsibility. Would you not agree with that? I
think it's a human being's due diligence to treat their body the best they can.
I agree. And I think doing the right now research on how I don't give a fuck if you're a vegetarian or vegan or totally or carnivore diet. All I'm getting at is some people need meat and greens. Some people only need greens. Some people only need meat. I don't give a shit what it is. All I'm saying is try not to board yourself up so that your ideals become your identity. And when that ends up happening, now you become complicit in ignorance and naivety, because you would rather stick to your ideology based upon your dietary whatever the fuck you want to call that.
Your taste bud.
It's crazy. Like that's
what you prefer to eat.
And that takes away from preemptive measures. You know, when we go to a doctor and the doctor looks at you and he says, "You look obese." There's no point to getting offended over a word. I mean, it's a clinical term. It's like saying,
Canadian doctor would say that, though.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, I've had it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm not going to say what he looked like, because if I said it, you'd be like, yeah, I could see that. Anyways, when they say that, the next thing that a doctor should maybe be talking about is preemptive measures so you don't get diabetes.
Yeah.
But they don't. And the reason why they don't is because they know that there's no funding for you to go in front of a dietitian. They don't have funding for you. They need you to be sick in order to get the funding or to write the requisition in order to go and see a dietitian.
They need the paychecks from Big Pharma.
It's fucking crazy. Like, that's just so crazy to be like, well, you have the right to life.
No.
But you only have the right to life once you're fucked, right? You have to be sick in order to get our services.
You only have the right to life when you are still claiming yourself responsible for that.
And also you only have the right to life provided it's not going to cost them more to keep you alive. We're already starting to see that, right? So literally the doctors are making a dice shot where they're like, this guy's not going to have great life. Do you want to go to palliative care what the fuck, man? Like, now we haven't just turned doctors into social workers. We've also turned them into fucking Dr. Death, right? Not saying that they never did it before, but the problem that I have with that is it's the system saying we can't afford to keep this person alive. I mean, we all knew it as Canadians. Let's face it. I mean, fuck, some of our cancer treatment is $190,000 a day.
And they still smoke. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, and that's actually not anymore. So truth be told, and this is I may disclose anonymity here. I'm sorry if I do, if the person knows who I'm talking about. So I had a person that I was working with in addiction who overdosed on GHB, and her entire body shut down. No organs were running. Okay. And the fucking blood toxicity started getting more toxic because her liver was shut down. They refused her to put her on blood dialysis because she smoked. This girl or woman was in a comatose state. She's in a comatose. I'm serious. Refused to give her a blood transfusion and dialysis on blood because she had smoked. Shit you not.
Why?
Shit you not.
Like,
she's literally.
What's the logic behind that?
Well, basically they had said, well, she needs to quit smoking 6 months before we give her any blood. What the fuck are you talking? She's dying. She's fucking dying.
That's fucked.
Right?
Yeah.
But this is where our system has come. When you start putting bureaucracy behind an ideology of you have the right to life except when, right? And then you have the boxes to tick off. I mean, she lived. I'm not going to, she didn't die. But what definitely ended up happening, and I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I'm kind of talking out of my depth here a little bit, but she definitely had brain damage. And was that lack of care because she smoked? I mean, we don't know, but what I do know is that she definitely has brain damage from whatever, right?
I feel like I have brain damage right now.
From?
So I have a confession to make to all our listeners. I have to be open and honest with you.
Oh, no.
This is step one for me. I started smoking cigarettes again.
Ah, yeah, fucking guy, you. Yeah.
2.5 years, no cigarettes. And then I was bored, so I bought a vape.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be cool with my vape.
Yeah, that's silly.
I missed moving something to my mouth leisurely.
Mm-hmm.
And it led me down the wrong path.
So
the vape was a gateway. So
just to come back a little bit, prescriptions. Let's go into why doctors need to prescribe physical therapists.
Because that is preventative measures.
Sure, 100%.
All illnesses.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Mental health, heart issues, lymphatic issues. It all comes down, if you live healthy and work out and put your body under a certain amount of controlled stress, you are more durable. You're going to live longer. Your longevity is going to be through the roof if you work out throughout your whole life.
So I'm going to go on the pro side of our Canadian healthcare system. If you Google right now, financial help for obesity in Canada, you're going to see that there's a $20,000 grant in order to pay for your physical therapist.
Go get that shit.
And all it takes is a doctor's prescription in order to get that. So if you're really motivated to change your life.
What do you want me to Google? Financial assistance?
For obesity in Canada. And you're going to see, you should see a grant application pop up. Yeah. So anyways, you can go and do that. Bring that stuff to your doctor. Doctor can fill out a prescription. And by filling out that prescription, you can then, I think you get it back in your income taxes is how it works. And then you can pay for your personal trainer and have a life coach kind of, I guess, for nutrition, right? How many hours do you guys take for nutrition?
So nutrition is out of my scope of practice right now. I'm going to be taking a nutrition course to further my education later.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you take preamble to the health and nutrition piece, or to the nutrition piece? Sorry.
I took some biology classes.
Okay.
And so I have a good understanding of the body and how it works.
Okay.
And I also, like on previous episodes when I talked about getting my butthole flushed out with colon hydrotherapy.
Yeah.
When I did that, I learned a lot about the body and the digestive system and how important certain foods are. And every once in a while, I'll just sit down to a big bowl of broccoli, and that's it. I just need that fucking broccoli in me.
So again, back to this preemptive measures, I think Canadians have to be vigilant against be vigilant and proactive about preemptive measures for their own health. Because for us to expect that the healthcare system is going to tell you what you need to do in order not to get sick, they're not going to do that in Canada. Instead, they're going to say, oh, you're sick? Now you're sick? Now we'll fix it. Right? It's not, oh, you're getting sick, so let's fix it. That's not what we're about here.
I'm going to plug a friend right now. She's a female personal trainer, and she does workout plans online.
Okay.
Woman Up Fitness. Check that out on Facebook. Her name is Teal.
Excellent.
Woman Up Fitness.
Excellent.
She's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I think you got any questions about healthcare?
When I was 7 years old, they had me on the maximum adult prescription for prednisone for asthma.
Oh, yeah. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
So I was like super, super, super underweight. And it wasn't good. Like, how come they were so ready to like throw this kid on mass amounts of steroids?
Yeah.
Instead of like, putting him in an environment where there's no cigarette smoke or keeping him away from certain allergens or focusing on a diet that's going to detox his body because he's got toxins and maybe a little bit of stress reduction.
Yeah. And I, one of the things I try to quantify is, did they have that knowledge then? I mean, I would suggest that they did, or at least the very basis of it.
I read an article last year, and I don't remember the exact, but it was like 70 or 80% of youth asthmatics, of child asthmatics, have abuse at home.
Oh, yeah. I could. Yeah, that makes sense
to me. It's like
me.
you get super stressed out and your body doesn't know what to do. You're contracting, you're producing extra stress hormones, and boom,
becomes an anxiety issue.
Becomes a disease, dis-ease.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that clarifies a little bit with the American audience about some of the healthcare issues that we have here. Like, there are people literally dying in our emergency rooms.
There needs to be a blending of the two, I think. Like, there needs to be a baseline Canadian healthcare system for the people who can't pay for it on their own.
What will end up happening, though, Kenny, if we play that, in my opinion, if we play that tape to the end, you're only going to have the good doctors on one side, and then you're going to have the shit like...
Well, they can do it like lawyers, where they have to take so many cases a year, just like legal aid.
Yeah. I mean, they could, but then even then, I mean, you and I have both been subject to the court system, and how many times did you get a good lawyer out of legal aid?
I lucked out.
Literally, see that? You lucked out.
Yeah, I lucked out. Yeah,
you lucked out. So did I. I mean, I lucked out. But you only luck out for so long until finally you find an advocate who just can't advocate for you.
Yeah.
Right? And they just, and again, we go back to preemptive measures. I mean, I used to hear this all the time when I was advocating for guys for bail, where they would say, well, the guy fucking dump trucked me. So in layman's terms, or you real people out there, getting dump trucked means he fucked you over, basically, is what they're trying to say.
Yeah, he just didn't give a shit.
Yeah. And so basically what I would always tell the client is this: how can he give a fuck about you when you have literally a mile-long rap sheet? What the fuck is he going to say? That you're not going to reoffend? Like, that's not the case here, right? As much as you want to change, your preemptive measures in regards to not reoffending do not qualify. Same thing with the healthcare system. If you're not doing what you need to do in order to get better, then what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And the extreme case in that is, like I said, the girl who overdosed on GHB unknowingly and body totally shut down. Right? She should have still been afforded everything that our Canadian health system could have afforded her, but instead they didn't because she smoked. Like they almost looked at her overdose like this was willing. She tried to do this when really it was a bad batch of GHB. And there were many people hitting the hospital at that time, right?
I went to the hospital once or thrice on GHB.
Yeah. Did you lose your mind?
So this one time I started to G out while I was driving, so I started to lose consciousness. Yeah, I'm a great candidate. That's why I don't have a license till 2022. So I pulled over so my girlfriend at the time could drive, and then I black out, and I get woken up, and I'm in the police station, and there's 10 RCMP surrounding me, and they're slapping me in the face, and they're flashing a flashlight in my eyes, trying to get me to say my name, and I couldn't cognitively put the words together and make them come out of my mouth. It was like, and then I black out again, and then I wake up and I'm in the ambulance, and I got the EKG monitors all over my chest, and I'm like, where's my stuff? Where's my stuff? And this guy's like, what drugs did you do? And I'm like, I was on a $20,000 bail at the time. And I thought that I was arrested. I'm like, he's like, no, the police let you go. You're not arrested. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not arrested? And like, I didn't believe this EMS guy. I didn't believe him. And then I was like, where's my jacket? Where's my jacket? And when I grabbed my jacket and I put it on, I put my hands in my pocket. I had a half ounce in cocaine pieced up into half grams in my pocket. And they never found it because I was way too fucked up. They didn't even check my pockets.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I think that's the one thing with GHB as itself. They can't drug test for that.
I think they have. No, they still don't have it.
Nope. Believe me, I administer many drug tests. Still to this day, they don't have it. They cannot find GHB in your system. Cannot. They even, if they're going to be serious about it, if you've only done 2 or 3 lines of meth, they can't see that either, really. You have to habitually do it. But they cannot see GHB. Cannot. And that's anybody, because it literally attacks the liver. And so the liver goes into a defense and starts cleaning your blood like crazy. And probably when you're on GHB, you're also doing stimulants like cocaine or methamphetamine, which has now raised your fucking heart rate. So now your liver's working like 100 times faster, right? Yeah. And that's why it runs through the system so quickly. But the problem with GHB is either it runs through your system or it shuts your system down. Like that's the other problem to it. So when there's an overdose of GHB, it just shuts your body down because after it attacks the liver, the next thing it attacks
is your brain.
That's right. And your central cerebral cortex is gone.
I seen this girl poop in her hand and eat it.
Yeah.
On GHB.
Yeah. And that's that. So again, with that drug in our healthcare system, we just don't have the capacity to deal. We don't do GHB. We just don't have. Or
fentanyl.
And this is why, again, subjectively, I mean, sure, there's only 48 million Canadians, but we're losing 5 Canadians a day just in an opioid epidemic. We are now not allowed to take pictures in emergency rooms, waiting rooms to get emergency services because it's literally a triage system and people are dying in the emergency room. And it's not because lack of care from the staff. They just don't know. I mean, at any given time in Canada, you can walk into an emergency room and there will be 50 to 100 people sitting in that room.
Yeah.
We have commercials right now saying you don't need to go to an emergency room if you have a cold or whatever.
Or a cold or the flu or something.
And we have all these clinics now set up, right? And I think that's a great idea.
What's your take on vaccinations?
Oh, some I agree, some I don't.
I'm anti-vaccine.
Yeah. That's a whole nother nut we can get into.
I'm Holistic Henry.
Well, and I think Canada will be one of the first systems where we have RDFI literally in our bodies in order to get healthcare. I think that's coming for Canadians, and especially with the migrant situation that we have right now in Canada, and as well as people frauding our healthcare system. We do have a lot of fraud. Like, we have a lot of people coming from other countries into Canada, have children, and then leave. And I think what's going to happen pretty soon is it'll be a born right that you get an RDFI, and you're going to have to pay as an emigrated citizen to get that RDFI. I'm almost positive that's what's going to happen here. That's why they just took away. If you just happen, we used to have a rule in Canada that if you landed in Canada and were born in Canada, so like let's say your wife is pregnant, landed in Canada, that child becomes Canadian. No longer. It's the point of origin of the parents.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're just overturning that now, right? So I think that's what's going to happen. Quitting smoking. So I quit smoking, I don't even know how long ago. I've quit a couple times. No, I stopped once for a long period of time, like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Started smoking again in active addiction when I was really spinning around the train. And then my last
Kick at the can.
well, my last time being arrested, I had actually quit 2 weeks prior to the arrest.
Yeah.
So it was on the patch or whatever.
Yeah.
I just decided I was going to smoke more marijuana. And that lasted until I got into treatment, where my ex-wife was like a week ahead of me in that treatment facility. Long story short, I started smoking then. And then I quit. Oh shit. I guess if I'm going to estimate like 2 years ago. Oh yeah, I can do the date. March 7th, 2016, I quit.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Have you ever used Champex?
So my mom is on Champex right now, and she got tinnitus because of it.
What's tinnitus?
Ringing in the ears. Unrelenting ringing in... I'm serious.
What the fuck? Because
what tinnitus comes from is anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay, and it just sets off like an alarm. And when you look at what Champex is it's a drug that helps with anxiety. That's long of the short of it. And then all of a sudden, when you just stop taking Champex, it's not just tinnitus. I'm not going to say that Champex, I'm not going to defame them like that. What I am going to say is there's a lot of people who have infections after using Champex.
I tried Champex before, and it made me not want to smoke cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
But I had such fucking crazy dreams that I woke up tired.
Yeah, I've heard that. The patch did that for me.
It's like I didn't get into a REM cycle. I was just trommed out in my sleep.
The patch did that for me on step 1. I had wicked dreams. Some addicts will call them using dreams, right? And you get a lot of anxiety when you're like, oh, fuck, I had a cigarette in my hand. I just recently helped somebody get through not smoking.
Yeah, a friend of mine just quit 10 days ago, and they said they're having smoking dreams every night. So
the thing that this person did with me is we did a physical set of steps, like AA 12 set of steps, right? I guess. Yeah. So we did 1 to 12. And after the weekend, they were done. The thought doesn't go back in their mind. They are truly done smoking now. And we literally did it in effect of smoking. And the biggest question I always say to anybody who wants to quit smoking is, why do you hate yourself? Because the reality comes down to this. We're not smoking because we actually enjoy the tobacco itself or the nicotine. We're smoking because it's induced by anxiety, or it's induced by stress, or it's induced by celebration. So if I could depict this, if life is so great, why is it that you feel that you need to go step outside and put your hands around your throat and choke the living shit out of yourself? Because that's
self-asphyxiation. Self-asphyxiation is a thing.
But that's effectively what you're doing. So, and then when somebody says, well, when I get angry, it calms me down. No, it doesn't. It jacks your heart rate, and you're more likely to have a fucking stroke smoking angry, right?
Yeah, I definitely don't feel good smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
I feel like a bag of deep fried dicks.
It sucks, right?
Yeah.
The way out of it though, so like I'm definitely a person that's like, I don't like, as much as I use the patch, right? I don't think it's necessary. Maybe it is in the beginning, but I strongly encourage someone to look at what's the purpose of your smoking.
Yeah.
Because really, if I've learned anything from addiction itself, it's this: the substance being used
Doesn't matter.
is the solution. That's the solution to all of your problems, which means really your deficiency is not dealing with life
Intrinsically.
in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Right?
I need to build up my intrinsic motivation to be healthy.
So one of the things that works, like even if you look at this, right, as a set of proposals, 12 proposals. So step one is admitting that you can't control it, really. Second,
I'm a bitch to cigarettes.
So secondly is to admit that the cycle of you're unable to control it is insanity, because it's never going to change and you're going to just continuously use it more and more and more.
As I'm nearing the end of each pack, I say this is my last pack. And as soon as I don't have a cigarette left, I go and get a pack.
So the thing to recognize before you before you even look at a step one is there's no good time to quit. Because I can assure you, before you went and bought that pack, you're like, fuck, it's just not a good time.
Something like that, yeah.
And that's the psychology that we give ourselves, right? Because that's how it changes.
Yeah.
So a long time ago, we talked about changing thinking pathology.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is how you do it. So you make that quit date and you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to go for a 3-day seminar, do a set of steps, run through them, and they're going to give you a bunch of different ways of utilizing thinking pathology. And by doing that, the likelihood of your success afterwards, provided that you do the actions placed in front of you, will change your behaviors significantly.
I want to quit the day before I go on the silent retreat.
Yeah, I mean, whatever your day is, you know.
That's the day I'm going to quit.
I mean, I would suggest
we pick a definitive date right now.
Well, I would more encourage you to go through a weekend prior to that, because that could be very, very stressful. Right? Going through a silent retreat and not smoking could be very, very stressful. I would strongly encourage you to give yourself a test pilot run the weekend prior to.
I did 7 years in jail, and I really avoided a lot of people for a lot of days in a row just because.
Sure, but you're not in control of your environment there.
I can bring books.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring a couple books.
Yeah.
And some paper.
I mean, you can do it however you want, right? I mean, you can try however you want to try it. What I do know that's effective for quitting smoking is Carl
Jung?
No, has 10 Easy Ways to Quit Smoking. Carl something, I forget, it's a book. But he uses a lot of golf analogy in the book, and he actually uses a set of steps. 10 Easy Ways to Quit Smoking. I read a lot of that book. The only thing that I really got out of that book that made any sense to me is make a pros and cons list about your smoking. Right? And then when you look at the pros list, none of them qualify because they're all making you sick. All that pro list, that entire pro list, no matter what it is,
it's bullshit.
It comes down to justification. That's how that's how you're lying to yourself, right? Essentially, we do the same thing in the set of steps. The biggest difference, so if you talk to any psychologist, this is what they're going to tell you. Thinking is only a byproduct of what really has to happen is action. So as long as you're doing physical action on on the thinking piece that you're doing. So like, for instance, you feel shitty about some of your morals, let's say. I don't know, whatever it could be. As long as you decide to rectify that, the likelihood of you changing those behaviors is likely, because the hardest thing to do in the world is to admit that you've done something shitty, right, to somebody else. It's difficult to admit it to yourself, but it's also difficult to admit it to another person. And when you do that, the likelihood of you ever making that negative behavior again is less likely because of that, right? That's why some people say faith without works is dead, and others say perseverance means nothing if you're not walking forward, right? That it's all the same. It's all the same analogy, really, right? And that's why I'm a person who's like, well, it's nice that you read a book, but what have you actually done? How have you proved it to yourself?
Yeah, you can start implementing it.
Yeah.
So
You have to prove it. Like just how we were talking about getting up and working out every day.
yeah.
Well, that's how you love yourself,
Yes.
right? So if you're not doing that every day, how the fuck did you know that you loved yourself?
My workouts went from 5 a week to 3 a week.
Are you feeling it?
From the smoking. Like, I'm feeling it in every area.
Yeah. Yeah, you're worth more than that.
Thanks, buddy.
You really are, you know?
I believe it too.
Yeah,
We're going to kick this together.
for sure.
I'm going to kick it myself.
I mean, it's, yeah. And that's the other thing, though, is to recognize that we can't do it on our own, right? If we recognize that we can't do it on our own, because let me put it to you this way. If you could fix everything on your own, then you would never need outside help. And that's one-way thinking. That's like, we would call that square thinking, right? That's one way.
yeah.
So like, again, going back to the set of steps, everybody thinks that a set of steps is only one way. It's not. I mean, it's a prescription to place certain principles in your life to effectively change your behaviors in a subliminary way. And you
Yeah.
never have
Yeah,
to
for
think
sure
about
it
it
is.
again,
Yeah.
right? So if that's what you're doing, then never, like, I am nowhere near the same person today that I was even fucking 3-4 months ago, 5 months ago. Just not. It's not going to happen. The likelihood of that stagnating is my responsibility. If that stagnates, I fucked up somewhere, and I'm going to have to do an entire upheaval. This is why I have to perpetually move myself into places where I'm uncomfortable. I'm doing things that I don't like really doing in that moment so that I can deal with that, right?
Yeah, so you can grow.
And if I'm not making that step forward, I'm fucked, right?
Yeah. Idle hands.
I think that's what helps quitting smoking, though. Whatever you think you should do the opposite. That's what it boils down to. Because everything that we've been doing up to this point is pushing us towards smoking. Because our best ideas get us where? Smoking. So
Well-
if that's the case, do the opposite to your best ideas.
We don't always do our best ideas, though.
Truly, this can be a paralysis, in our thinking. Again, it goes back to our thinking. And without actual action, without rubber hitting the pavement, you're subject to your thoughts. And your best thinking gets you smoking, right?
Yeah.
Because the action needs to reinforce the thought. That's how behaviors change. Behaviors don't change just because you fucking wished it. Oh, I hope I change. Christ, people have been hoping that they change for fucking 15 fucking years. But they don't. Why don't they? Because it hasn't gotten bad enough. How bad does it have to get for you to change?
The pain has to be greater than the pleasure.
That's right.
I'm going to make that list, the pros and cons list.
Yeah.
I'm going to start that right now.
Yeah. And if any of the listeners want to quit smoking, they can quit smoking too.
I encourage you to message me and we can do it together.
So the last piece that we have is commitment. Looks like to me you're committed to doing your list.
I'm going to do my list.
Shit, you can blog that fucker. Do that.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So be an extra blog this week.
Yeah.
We should hit that up too. So there is, for you listeners, there is a blog that comes out every week. And you can check that out at www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com.
www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com. I like that. That was good.
So if you want to see some of the stuff that we write before and after the show, plug into there, right? I mean, that's also where our t-shirts are going to be. That's where speaking engagements are going to be. We're going to start putting up our event list of where we're going to be and all that fun stuff. And you can plug in and either be with us virtually in those places, or you can also be with us physically in those places. We would prefer physically.
Yeah. Come join the pride.
And another piece that I want to check out with you, you were good this episode. When we sit down, our phones have to be face down, new rule for the studio.
I don't text or answer my messages. I ignore calls.
You're good. You're good for that, yeah.
And I Google.
So, yeah. Another test is if you can, and it's a challenge, I'm doing it now, no phone in the bedroom. That's a mother, right?
Well, then I would have to talk to her.
Secondly, pick one evening out of the week where you do the bold statement and leave the phone at home.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I'm pulling that one off.
But then how can I call you?
You have to wait.
I don't want to wait. I need you.
I bet. So if anybody else wants to participate in those social media detox,
social media quitting smoking.
Yeah, I think we need to put that in perspective. I mean, sure, podcasting is definitely a part of, I guess, a simulated social media, but not really. I think this is the new wave of radio. But I think, if you feel like social media might be an issue, that might be a start to your detoxification from it.
Yeah, or post it on our webpage.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you can talk to us. Yeah, so that's my commitment. As I'm going to continue.
I need another commitment out of you right now. After this episode, I need you to show me how I get into our website.
Oh yeah, that's
because
done.
I looked at that and I couldn't figure that out on my own.
That's done. You mean your blogging thing?
Yeah, like I want to post shit on on our website.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, okay. What do this weekend? Sick.
What are you doing?
We.
Oh yeah.
Kaleidofest.
Yeah, I think we're doing it separately. You've got people, I've got people, but we'll probably meet up for a coffee in the middle somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you know what this Kaleidofest is about? All I know is I was asked to be there.
Well, I think I brisked through it last year. They had some things for kids. They had like this big, huge blow up thing where they went in there and threw paper airplanes. They had face painting. They had live music, and it's beautifully placed on the Avenue of Champions, which is
in our beautiful city, Edmonton, Alberta,
which is probably the roughest stretch of pavement in the city.
Yep.
It goes from east to west, and it's rough the whole way.
So I would encourage you to take 3 minutes out of your life and Google Kaleidofest Edmonton, and I don't know, and you can check out Kenny's Instagram at
Kenny_Cantrell,
and my Instagram at just96
967.
Yeah, 967.
Just 967.
Yeah, just 967. Instagram, I'm sure we're going to have pictures.
Add me on Facebook too. Kenny Cantrell.
Oh, yeah.
I changed it from Kenneth to Kenny.
Okay.
So it's the same.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wrap us up. We're an hour.
All right, y'all. If anybody needs a lawyer or needs to refer a lawyer to anybody, Liam Connolly at Connolly Law. For all your Canadian law, will, estates, and media issues, Google Liam Connolly. He's solid as fuck. Word.
Patreon. If you are not for profit looking for a little bit of exposure, please come and hit us up on our Patreon page, or as well www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com. We will be encouraged to get a hold of you right away as soon as you tell us what you do, who you are, and what you're trying to help. We would love to be able to have you on the show. You don't necessarily have to be local. You can be from anywhere in the world, and we'll definitely try to push it through.
Yeah.
Anything else there for... T-shirts.
Our T-shirts are coming soon.
Very, 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 very soon. I think we're going to be chucking them out there for $30 a pop. Worldwide shipping. You can get it anywhere. It's going to be Hogan-esque. So for all you fucking millennials out there...
They don't even know who Hogan is.
They totally know who Hulk Hogan is. I'm a maniac. Are you a maniac?
I like Hulk Hogan.
You are a maniac. All right. Okay. So that's it from us. This is Thursday's show. Have a wonderful weekend. You're in tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm in tomorrow, and I have a pretty interesting
Guest?
guest who's lovely.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, listeners, I love you all
Have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.
deeply.